Happy New Year and welcome back to Penn State Sports Night. I'm CheRanda Hammond alongside Jonathan Draeger and Logan Bourandas. Basketball season at Penn State is well underway with both men's and women's teams sitting at 8 and 7. Let's start with the men's team. John, what has impressed you about the men's team this season?
Definitely something that has Micah Shrewsbury been harking about all season long, and that's defense. At the beginning of this season, Coach Shrewsbury has had one goal for the team: keep opponents to under 60 points per game. Obviously, that hasn't worked out too well, but he has found something else. 9 games so far this season, he has held opponents to 10 points under their season total averages, which I think is a pretty good feat. And it all starts with Seth Lundy. He has been taking on the best that the Big Ten has to offer. For example, Jaden Ivey of Purdue, Naismith Award candidate, averages about 16 points heading into their matchup. He only held him to 12. Seth Lundy later faced Ron Harper Jr., who averaged 15.7. Only limited him to 7 points. So Seth Lundy and the defense has been a big key to Penn State's success recently. And so far, if they can keep this up, they can find themselves in the middle of the pack with the best that the Big Ten has to offer.
Yeah, now moving away from the defense and just talking about a big surprise so far this season, you have to take a look at Jalen Pickett, who came over from the transfer portal before the season started. You talk about Seth Lundy, who leads the team in points right now. Jalen Pickett is number 2 on the team. And Pickett has started to come alive so far in Big Ten play, has had 2 of his best performances so far this season against some of the top teams the Big Ten has to offer. 2 20-point games, one against Ohio State, the other one against Purdue in that same game you talked about earlier, John. And Pickett has really kind of come alive so far earlier on in the season. And with some other guys in the lineup starting to come back, Pickett can really provide a great impact to this Penn State offense that was looking for some guard play after guys like Isaiah Brockington and Myron Jones left in the transfer portal last season. So looking forward to seeing what Jalen Pickett can do as Big Ten play kind of continues here.
The women's team also played this past Sunday at home versus Illinois. Logan, what has impressed you about the women's team over these past few weeks?
Yeah, and talking about another big surprise and someone who's kind of come alive earlier on in the season, talk about McKenna Marisa, the junior, who has been in Coach Keeger's program now for her 3rd season and has taken a huge jump. And at the start of the season, Coach Keeger said that McKenna Marisa has the potential to be one of the top guards in the country, and she's really shown that so far. Had a triple-double with steals earlier on in the season against Delaware State and has really played well when the rest of this Penn State lineup hasn't against some of the top teams in the Big Ten in Maryland and Michigan. Marisa has really kind of carried the Penn State offense so far in those regards, and she has been the top scorer in pretty much all those games, putting up consistent 20-point nights for the blue and white for Penn State. So McKenna Marisa, she was a Big Ten honorable mention last year, averaged just around 13 points per game, now well in the 20s in points per game this year. So Marisa definitely living up to that praise that Coach Keeger had before as one of the top guards in the country.
Flipping to the other side of the court, the defense, especially their high-intensity pressure on the ball. It all starts with that 2-1-2 press, full court, right in front of the faces of the opposition. Now, they get a little bit handsy with Shea Hagans and Marisa up at the top trying to swipe at the ball, but once they cross that timeline, they get back into that 2-3 zone, doing a little bit of a half-court set, but they still keep up that intensity. We saw that against Illinois this past week. If the Illini forced 16 turnovers, 12 of them being steals by Penn State. So that's a big plus for Carolyn Keeger's squad. Now, if they can keep this up, they can also find themselves at top of the Big Ten.
Are there any games coming up for either the men's or the women's team that you guys are looking forward to these next few weeks?
Personally, I'm looking forward to the men's game coming up this Saturday against the Iowa Hawkeyes for one reason and one reason only: Keegan Murray. He has found himself atop of the top scorers in the nation, tied for first with about 23.9 points per game alongside of Detroit Mercy's Titans' own Antoine Davis. Now, Seth Lundy is currently day-to-day nursing an undisclosed injury of some sorts. We don't know at this time. Without him, who's going to be watching Keegan Murray this entire time? You're without your best defender, and will you happen to go to a box-and-one set like Penn State showed against Purdue with Sasha Stefanovic? Will they go to that? Will they have a rotating cast of defenders all over Keegan Murray? Will they just let him do everything and just completely wipe out the entire squad? We will have to see that coming this Saturday, the 22nd.
Let's flip the script and talk about the women's team here. They're going to be traveling on the road, facing Northwestern on Thursday in their next matchup here. And John, I know you're a big defense guy. I talked a lot about defense earlier on, and the duo of Shea Hagans and Leilani Kapanis, Penn State kind of had that duo in the lineup going these past couple of games. They've really found their rhythm as both being defense-first guards. And facing a really talented Northwestern team, currently sits in 5th place in the Big Ten right now. This would be the biggest win that Penn State has gotten all season. And they've been really competitive against some talented teams so far, but not really against the top of the Big Ten. They've struggled against some of the ranked teams like Maryland, like Michigan, like Indiana. They have really struggled in those games. So I'm looking forward to see how the defense for Penn State can match up against this Northwestern squad.
Sounds good to me. I am looking forward to both games. The men will be traveling this Saturday, January 22nd, to take on the Iowa Hawkeyes at 4:30. The women will also be traveling to take on the Northwestern Wildcats Thursday at 8. That will do it for this edition of Penn State Sports Night. For Logan Bourandas and Jonathan Draeger, I'm CheRanda Hammond. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching this edition of Penn State Sports Night. If you're a fan of our content, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more clips. Also, follow us on Twitter at PSSN TV and on Instagram at PSU Sports Night to keep up with all the action. For all my colleagues, we are Penn State Sports Night.